Let's ask Republican Congressman and House Oversight Committee member Tim Burchett. Welcome to you, Congressman. Before we get started, you recently conceded that this Congress hasn't been productive, and you blamed individual members who you said were, quote, gutless, and they won't stand up. Which members are you talking about, sir, and how did they fail to stand up?
Well, on the NDAA, ma'am, as you well know, it was the National Defense Authorization Act. It provides for sex change operations, things that I don't think that the average taxpayer thinks that we ought to be paying for in a military bill. You've got a bloated Pentagon that has not passed an audit in the last 5 audits in the history of audits, and yet we reward them with billions more dollars. I could see that money going to other things, or maybe even some savings. That, you know, we're in these endless wars. We continue to get into them. We're $114 billion unchecked to Ukraine. We're in skirmishes that sink all over the world, and yet our defense contractors and people in both parties, if folks would do some investigating, would find out that people in both parties are profiting off this. There's no reason in the world, ma'am, that somebody makes 70+%.
Congressman, if I may, so you are noting that members, you say they didn't get anything done, they didn't stand up on the NDAA, but which members were you referring to, sir, that you referred to as gutless?
Well, the ones that voted for that bill, that run home and say they are in fact conservative, or in fact, my Democrat friends who allow for the FBI to do over thousands. It's in the thousands of investigations by saying they're going to investigate someone who's a foreigner and using that to backdoor into Americans' lives. I think the FBI is way out of touch, and they need to get back to the original reason they were formed, and it's not to spy on Americans.
We don't have time to do the history of the FBI, but let me tell you, it is murky. But I think we can't make claims about spying on Americans without some actual evidence here. I want to move to this impeachment inquiry because every single member of the House of Representatives every single Republican member of the House did vote in favor, including you. Can you just tell me, why did you vote for an inquiry, even if there is because there's no direct evidence that you all have produced yet of high crimes or misdemeanors or treason by the president while he's been the president, even before he was president?
Well, we didn't vote for an impeachment, ma'am, just an inquiry.
An inquiry, yes. Why did you vote for an inquiry?
Yes, ma'am. And the inquiry, in fact, is the proper process we need to go through. The Speaker stated we're not going to hop over one section of law to get to another. We're going to go down the path of providing evidence. And so far, you've asked about evidence. And there is, I think, some pretty incriminating evidence. You have Hunter Biden, who's run over $30 million through his family. He's been paid. There's over 22 bank accounts, 20 shell corporations. This latest one was a $5 million.
I understand questions about Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden is currently, literally, he is facing consequences for what he has done on his taxes. But I'm asking about President Biden, and I want to ask because only Joe Biden is now the 5th president in our nation's history to face an impeachment inquiry. So these are not common, this isn't just something that happens in every single House of Representatives, every single Congress. So House Republicans, you all are saying that you're going to follow the facts in the inquiry, but there has been no evidence that has been produced that the president committed a high crime or misdemeanor while he was president. And so if you don't find any evidence, at what point will the inquiry be considered concluded?
When we get to the conclusion of that would be when we go through all the evidence. As I was stating earlier, there's a $5 million investment with Hunter and a Chinese communist member. And then Hunter, if you follow the money, he takes it, puts it in one of his 20 shell corporations. He, in fact, pays James Biden, the president's brother. And then at the end of it, you see a $40,000 go out of this account, which was only created apparently for this influx of millions of dollars. And the bank in itself, in its email records, has stated that there is, we see no business interest here. We need to be
Congressman
wary
Burchett,
of this.
thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I do just want to note that, again, the documents reviewed by NBC News, they show that the president made a $200,000 loan to his brother in 2018. The $40K you talk about, bank records that the oversight committee themselves saw, show that the president made a wire transfer when he was not the president to James Biden of $40K. Payments were to Hunter Biden were for a 2018 Ford Raptor truck that Joe Biden purchased that Hunter Biden was using. I don't know. I haven't heard a high crime or misdemeanor yet. I completely understand.
Are you going to let me answer the question, ma'am? I know you're a Democrat operative. You work for a Democrat consulting firm.
All right, Congressman, let's do it then since we're here. We're out of time, but we're going to do it. I did used to advise a number of individuals. I've also advised some corporations and companies, but here I'm just here to be an advocate for the viewer. And I will ask you one last time, what is the evidence that the committee has that Joe Biden, while he was president, committed a high crime, misdemeanor, or treason? Because that is the bar for an impeachment inquiry.
Well, you have to ask yourself, ma'am, why does a vice president or a president get $40,000 through a Chinese communist corporation that has been...
All right. Well, with that, thank you all very much, Congressman. It's always a pleasure.